too many people know too much about our capabilities. Yeah. Why? Because there's a lot of countries out there that want to see us fail. So why highlight our most lethal capabilities, our most, capable forces? Why highlight that? Why highlight that? Just let us be who we are. Let us do our thing. Let's do our thing. We don't need to be heroes. We don't need to be superstars. We don't need to be famous. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't. Do I want to sell my book? Yes. Why? Because I think it will make Americans better, great. Everyone has the ability to be the best version of themselves.
Episode 10, Rodney Magallan. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Shawn. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you guys making the trip. I want to get into a lot of things, but, a quick introduction on Rodney. Rodney's former SEAL Team 4, SEAL Team 6. He did the reserves for a number of years. He did U.S. Marshals during the 9/11 era. He was in the CIA. And the minute I had you signed up to come on the podcast, the first question that came to my mind was, I got to get your thoughts on Tim Kennedy and all this crazy stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to push you right into it, but maybe we could hold it for later. But go ahead and just talk a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself.
Right on, man. So joined the Navy when I was 17 to get out of poverty. Didn't have money for college. And,
Where'd you grow up, first of all?
Washington State. Grew up in Washington State in the central Washington, so the farming side. Small town called Grandview, Washington. Still a small town, still has great people. People I went to school with are now teachers and vice principals and administrators and part of the board. It was a great atmosphere. It was a great community to grow up, because what I may have had lacking in my home, I definitely found it in my friends' homes. As far as people behind me as a child and supporting me, right? As far as not supporting me in the sense that they were giving me handouts, but more of it's like, hey, dude, you can do great things. Just keep being
Supporting you in positive,
absolutely
reinforcement,
Yeah.
and support. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So my three older brothers went into the Marines, again, back then in the 80s, it going into the military was a way to pay for college. It was a way to get out of poverty, a way to pay for college. My mother, single mom, raising us. There were 7 of us in the family.
Wow. Single mother with 7 kids.
Well, the 4 older kids were already out of the house when she became single.
Did she calm down by then?
My mom?
Yeah.
No. Well, I tell people they didn't have HBO back then, right?
Yeah.
So it's no cable, no HBO. It's like, we're gonna have kids.
We're gonna have our own soap opera.
That's right. We're gonna put our own Game of Thrones on.
That's an interesting correlation, actually. They might have just had kids because they were bored,
right?
Yeah.
Hey, what you doing?
Yeah.
So went in the Navy. Actually wanted to be a doctor. Didn't even know what a SEAL was. Had no idea.
Mm.
And
why did you want to become a doctor? Did you have anybody in your life that was?
No, it's so growing up, once my parents split up, and it was, I have a twin sister and then a younger brother, and we're still in school, junior high and then high school. A lot of the conversations I'd have with my mother were one way, and in a way that she didn't think I was going to amount to anything. She didn't think that I was going to be a productive person.
Why was that? Were you rambunctious?
No, I think what it was is there was a lot of stuff going on when I was a baby with my mom and my dad, and of us 7 kids, 6 of us were boys.
Mm.
And the one girl that my mother always wanted came along with another boy. Yeah, she's my twin sister.
Stole her thunder.
Well, so as I understand it from my aunts and uncles, and I'm sure that they're going to correct me when I see them, it was she was being uh accused of neglecting me and just spending time with my sister Melissa, and because she always wanted a girl, so I guess I was a crybaby, so I'm in the crib just crying my ass off, and so when family would come over, it didn't matter whether it's my dad's side of the family or my mom's side of the family, they're all like, hey, how about this guy right here? He needs to be held and needs some love too.
Wow.
And so now as you get older, a lot of that resentment I think came back, and she looked at me, and I think it just took her back to that time where I was a pain in her ass, I guess.
Right.
And so then when the marriage failed, and she's not living the life that she wanted, being on public assistance, and working as migrant workers in the field, yeah, I guess I was a whipping post. I was someone to get that aggression or some of those thoughts or some of that animosity out, and yeah, so the words were, I was hateful, I wouldn't amount to anything, the devil reborn. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna prove it wrong, and it's be a doctor or be a lawyer, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna be a doctor, because back then, if you become a doctor or a lawyer, no one questions whether you did something with your life or not. And that was the whole motivation behind it. And so that's why I wanted to be a doctor. Really that simple. So now I'm in the Navy, and I thought I was going to the Naval Academy, right? Because that's what the recruiter sold me on. Go to the academy, and I don't want to give up too much because it's in the book. In the book, Tip of the Spear, It's Not What You Think. Published in November. It's actually won 3 awards so far.
Wow.
It's you read it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. It's Not What You Think means a lot more. It's not another SEAL book, right? It's not another one of those SEALs but beating their chest. It's 100%. This is where I came from. This is the life that I led, and at the end of the day, I didn't let any words stop me. Actions speak louder than words. Okay. I had a lot of people telling me I wasn't going to make it, but I had just as many people telling me you can do it. So in either case, I found motivation from both sides. The motivation to prove the naysayers wrong, and then the motivations to that camp, that Rodney camp, who's behind Rodney, to prove them right, to make them proud of me, right? Because they're already proud of me. So I do not want to let them down.
Right. Isn't it funny how you would think sometimes your support comes from the least expected places?
Sure.
And the negativity comes from the least expected places too. Right?
Absolutely. No, well said. Well said. And so I'm in boot camp now. And back then they had the post 9/11 they had the Montgomery GI Bill. And the Montgomery GI Bill, they would take $100 a month for the first 12 months, and then they'd give you a certain amount of money for college when you wanted to use it. Well, $100 a month back in 1986 when I was in boot camp was half my pay. And I'm like, well, I'm going to the Naval Academy, and you could only use it for your bachelor's. You couldn't use it for a master's or anything outside. It was only for a bachelor's. And I'm like, well, I'm going to the Naval Academy to get my bachelor's pre-med, so I don't need the Montgomery GI Bill. And not only that, but my mom needs the money. I'm sending money home to her. So I'm not going to do it. And the company commander in boot camp's like, what are you talking about? You're not going to the academy. I'm like, you don't know. My recruiter knows more than you. You're wrong. I'm right. Well, about halfway through boot camp, I realized that my company commander's actually right, and that recruiter from back home just lied his ass off and just got me in. So now I'm a jackass. Yeah, I'm stupid, and
every day in this country.
Yeah. So now I'm stuck for 3 years, right? Because I signed for 3 years, and I've always been that kind of guy that if I commit to something, I'm going to do it. I found out later that I actually could have gotten out of my contract if I wanted to fight it and all this other stuff. But you know what? But no, I signed my name to it. It's no different than taking out a loan. It's no different than anything else. I signed my name. I committed to this. This is my word. So I'm stuck for 3 years. I'm going to fulfill that. I'm going to do my 3 years. But what can I do in those 3 years to make it the best possible? So I'm reading my Blue Jackets manual, right? Remember that?
Mhm.
Learning about the Navy, UDT SEAL, jump pay, $150, dive pay, $150, hazardous duty pay. I'm adding it up, counting on my toes, my fingers, and I'm like, damn, as an E1, I'll be making what an E7 makes. And my mom needs money. So I want to do this. And they're like, do you know what that was? I have no idea, but it's a 36-month commitment, and I did the math. That's 3 years, and I'm stuck for 3 years. So I want to do it, and my mom needs the money. I'm sending it home. I'd keep $50, and I'd send the rest to my mom. And so that's how I ended up going to Butts and did the screening test in boot camp. The stories in the book. Tip of the Spirits. What you think?
Yeah.
What'd you think of that story when you read it about me doing the? I didn't know how to do the side stroke, and we're doing the screening test, and they're like, "Yeah, you got to do the side stroke."
It's very similar to, I think, all of our stories.
What's the side stroke?
I was the same way. I don't know what this is. I wasn't a strong swimmer. I love being in the water, but I was never. You don't realize you're not a strong swimmer going through training until you get to training, and you're like, wow, because you got guys that coming in that are Olympic swimmers, or they were water polo, jocks in high school, and you get there and you're like, I am severely behind. Like me and my best friend, we used to go to hotel pools in our free time, and like just hold onto each other's shoulders and tread water. We would do that every day.
Wow,
like because we both got rolled during second phase.
Okay,
and so we're like, we only get one more shot at this.
Yeah.
And I think they took that away. I don't even think you get a second shot now. But back when I was going through, you got a second chance if you didn't make it through. And so, I got rolled because of the tread, because I wasn't, prepared for it.
Right.
So every day.
You mean with the twin 77s on your back and you got to tread water?
12-pound weight
belt. Yeah.
So for those that don't know what the tread challenge is during going through second phase of BUDS, the tread is you have two. They're empty twin 80 scuba tanks, but it's just the weight of it hanging on your shoulders. So it's like you have two scuba tanks that are on your back, and you have a 12-pound belt that goes around your waist, and you have no fins, you have nothing, and you're supposed to you have to tread water with your hands out of the water. If your hands go under, you fail, and you have to tread water for 5 minutes, and then you think it's over at that. No, it's not. Once that's over, then you have to go and touch the wall on one end of the pool. And then you have to turn around, and on your back, you have to, is it on your, no, it's on your stomach on the way. The first leg is on your stomach. You have to swim to the other side, right? And the whole time, all this weight is pulling you under, and you're just trying to it's horrible. And you finally get to the other side. And then once you get to the other side, then you have to go on your back, and you have to come all the way back across an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So the whole evolution takes about 10 minutes, I say, if you're moving quick, maybe 12 to 13 if you're slower. But it's the most excruciating test that I had. It was worse than pool comp. It was worse than Hell Week.
Yeah.
It was like, that was going to determine whether I was going to make it or whether I didn't. Right. There. And luckily we were able to pull it off. And even when I finally did it, I got it on my fifth attempt at it. I come up out of the water. I'm like, oh, okay. and the guy's watching me, and he's like, because I came up with this technique where my buoyancy is below the water. Like some people's buoyancy is at water level. Some people's actually, they can like just float in a pool and their head's out of water naturally. Mine's about 8 inches underneath the surface of the water, just because of the way my body's shaped. And so when I was trying to do the tread, I had to come up with a technique that would allow me to do it for 5 minutes without gassing myself out. So I would hold my breath and I would go underwater, but I'd keep my hands above the water, which was not breaking the rules.
Right.
And I would tread water at where I was buoyant, 8 inches underneath the water. And when I needed a breath, I would take a big kick and I'd come up and I would go back down. And the instructor had never seen it before. And he's sitting there and he's looking at me. He's like, and you could see him poke his head. He's like, is this okay? Is this breaking the rules? And they're like, nope, it's not breaking the rules.
Sticking outside the box, man.
And then when I made the travel, because he had seen me try this, he'd been there for all my failures.
Yeah.
And so when I finally made it on the last one, he goes, well, fuck, I guess even a blind dog can find a bone. He's like, get the fuck out of the water.
Right. I know, right? You're waiting for some praise and whatnot. I was like, all right, fine, get the fuck out.
Yeah, special, bitch. Back of the line.
Yeah, so dive phase was third phase when I went through class 143. And and graduated with class 143. So never got rolled, got hurt, but didn't tell anyone I was hurt, right? Got pneumonia, didn't tell anyone I had pneumonia. Because, you don't want to get rolled. I didn't want to get rolled. Screw that shit. But yeah, so becoming a SEAL was had no idea what a SEAL was. Didn't know what they did. Start running into people because I had to go to core school because back then you had a rate, right? You had to have a rate, and they would a rate is your job. In the Army they call it MOS. In the Air Force they call it a company. I'm just kidding, right? They call it HR. They talk to their HR rep in the Air Force. I'm just kidding, but yeah. So your rate being a corpsman, that was as close as being a doctor. I guess the recruiter set me up with. He's like, okay, you can be a corpsman. You learn how to empty bedpans and take temperatures and blood pressures and stuff. And then went to buds out of A school. So the remainder of boot camp, I passed the screening test. I'm the only one out of 2 companies. There was about 70 of us or so that tried out for the screening test. I won't share the whole story because it's in the book, Tip of the Spear. It's not what you think. Yeah, man. Hey, people got to know. People
let them know. Yeah, let them know.
It's a good read, inspirational leadership, whatnot, and I'll let Shawn talk about it. He read it and listened to it, but about 70 of us took the screening test, and I was the only one that passed that screening test to go to buds. And this is just a test to see if you can even get orders to go to buds. So it's not anything difficult. In my mind, I'm thinking, but I guess it is in the collective. And you mentioned it because you get to buds and you start seeing, coming from a small town, 8,000 people, and you start seeing, this guy used to play for the Miami Dolphins. This guy's, college level swimmer, water polo dudes and all that, and then they're jacked as shit. I was 150 pounds, soaking wet. I'm like, damn, wow, where am I? Yeah. These guys are studs. One guy was a gymnast, man. He was a Division I gymnast. I tell this story, the pull-up bars on his wrists, and he's just knocking them out. And then
he would do them on his wrist?
Oh, yeah. And he's just all the way to his belly button, right? Just knocking them out. And the instructors are like, get off, all right? We're tired. We're tired of watching you do pull-ups. Get the fuck off. I know Dave Goggins ain't got it, man. You had the record. I love you, man. Praise it. But this guy would have smoked that record. Yeah. He was amazing. Tie his ass up, put him in the water.
Scared as shit.
It sank like a rock. Sank like a rock. Done. Didn't even make it out of pre-training. Pre-training back then was the first 2 weeks, you can't quit. Okay? You cannot quit. So everyone shows up. 5 o'clock in the morning, we're starting, and they just hammer the dog shit out of you all day. All day, just hammering you. Evolution after evolution after evolution after evolution for 2 weeks with the weekend off. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, it's like, okay, that's a taste of what you guys are getting ready to start. Who wants to continue? Who wants to quit? The door's right there. And when I saw him raise his hand, he's like, I'm out. I was like, I think I turned into a ghost, man. It was like, dude, you were motivating the shit out of me. Yeah. It's like, now you're gone. You're gone. Yeah, that swimming and that drown proofing, he just couldn't do it.
Did he know what was coming? Did he know? Was he familiar with everything, or was he like you and he didn't really know what was next?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know. I never asked, right? I didn't ask a lot of questions because, I turned 19 years old in buds. Well, okay. So I just kept my mouth shut. Howard Wasden was my swim buddy. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was one of the snipers in Mogadishu during Black Hawk Down.
Okay.
God rest his soul. He not too long ago passed away in an airplane accident. But you know, he was a SAR swimmer in the Navy before going to the program, and we started as swim buddies and we ended as swim buddies.
Wow, that's cool.
And yeah, and so he helped me a lot because he was an E5 already. Like I said, I think I was an E2 going to Buds. I got meritoriously promoted out of boot camp.
What is that, Seaman Apprentice?
That's right. Yeah. Because I knew how to march, right? So I knew how to march. So I was the RCPO in boot camp. So it was like, all right, we're gonna make you an E2. Yeah. Yes, I am somebody. You see, Mom, I could do shit. So yeah. He helped a lot. But there were some guys in the class that kind of had an idea what was going to happen. I start realizing, there's guys that have come back. Like, they had quit before and now they're back for the second time. Because back then, she's like, you went to the fleet, and then you had to ask for orders, and you'd get the orders and you could come back. And that built a lot of animosity within my class from some of these older Navy guys, because they felt like I was getting a good deal coming straight out of A school, straight to Buds. They felt like I should have gone to the fleet and earned my right to come to this voluntary program. And again, like you said, it's interesting how you find motivation in the weirdest places, right? Watching those jackasses quit. The ones that were like, you shouldn't be here. And, and look, it was the 80s. Okay, it was the 80s. You fucking wetback, right? You shouldn't be here. And it was like, how'd you know I was Mexican? Yeah. So it's watching him quit and singing happy trails to him, it just motivated the shit out of me, right? I made it one day longer than you.
That's a wild feeling when you're seeing people. Just like you said, I saw the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 5'8" on a good day, and I'm seeing guys that are 6'5", and they're like, this ain't for me. Walking away, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And I saw so many people. Our class was gigantic.
Yeah.
And I saw so many people quit.
Wow.
I mean, sometimes I see them walk off in droves, like 7, 8.
Just had enough.
Yeah.
I have a theory, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's my theory. I can only speak for myself on what drove me. My theory is this, and I had options, right? I could have gone to a hospital. And don't hate me, dear, right? I was 19 at this time. I could have gone to a hospital while the girls were working and all that stuff, right? Had it easy.
Earmuffs.
Had it easy. Yeah.
Rodney's wife, Veronica, is here. She's
But-
giving him the eye.
But I think that, people who have options, when they start going through that program and they realize this sucks. This is going to be my job. And here's the thing, Jim Brixey and I, we talk about it all the time. And the instructors would say it. I don't know if you remember or not. It's like, look, Buds is a taste of what real life is going to be like. You're going to be hungrier. You're going to be colder. You're going to be hotter. You're going to be more tired when you get to the teams. And it's hard to fathom when you're going through the program, when you're going through Buds, and everyone thinks like, oh my God, Buds was the hardest Buds, and it's cake after that. No, it's not. They were absolutely 1,000% right? When you're spending, 26 hours in a plane, waiting for the green light to drop in on a mission, when you're out on the water for 36 hours straight, nowhere to sit down, nowhere to lay down. I mean, you're out there dropping fucking fuel in the middle of the ocean to keep you guys going, and it's there ain't no DFAC. There's no hot meals. There's no, what you got is what you got when you're out in the jungle for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And it gets mentally harder too the longer you're in. I mean, because there's a subconscious thing that's in your mind. It's like, all right, this is my second platoon. This is my third platoon.
Yeah.
And it's like, why am I still fucking dealing with this shit? Like, so for me, when you're a new guy and it's hard, you're like, it's hard. I'm a new guy. It's supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
But the older you get, there's something as you start to get older and you're like, God damn it, I don't want to be here. I've done this shit so many times. I'm tired of this shit. You've done it so many times that you know you can do it.
Yeah.
You know you can fight through it. You know you can whatever overcome whatever cold. I mean, we've done missions where our nods were frozen through,
Right.
and it's like, what the fuck? You figure it out, you know. And it's
You had nods. I'm kidding, bro.
but it's like, you know, all this shit happens, and like the older you get, that's why I think even you're still doing the same job, but as you get older and older and you're still having to do what these 18, 19, 20-year-olds are doing,
Sure.
you're like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, no, I think that I think it's just human nature, right? It's because you can actually relate that to folks that aren't SEALs. That's what I try to do, because everyone thinks that you know, SEALs, you guys are different. You guys are cut from a different cloth, and we're not. We're really not, right? You know, I talked about my background. The only difference between me and someone who didn't make it through is I chose not to quit. I chose to stay the course. I wasn't any stronger. I wasn't any smarter. I wasn't any faster. I wasn't a better swimmer, you know. Relationships, right? It's like that guy or that girl that keeps going back to that boyfriend or that girlfriend that just keeps kicking him in the Jimmy. It's just like, he's like, oh no, but she says this time's gonna be different, and then she loves me. It's just like, yeah, and then you go back and thinking you're gonna expect something different, and it's the same shit, and it's like, damn, and until you realize that it hasn't changed, and I'll stamp it. So my time in Iraq and Afghanistan was with the CIA. I was a GRS agent from 2002 to 2005. After 9/11, when I was with the Marshal service when 9/11 happened, and then got recruited by the CIA.
Walk me through that story, because you talked about it in your book. When 9/11 hit, you were U.S. Marshal at the time?
I was a U.S. Marshal in the District of Southern District of Texas down in Corpus Christi. Now,
Which is where I was born, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah.
My wife's from Corpus Christi as well. Which is significant, and this is why people are like, oh, he's just saying that shit because his wife is cracking the whip. Not at all. I love my wife; she's my best friend. But this was something that I'll never forget. So my partner and I were heading to Arizona to pick up a prisoner. All right, we have a plane transfer in Houston. We're walking to the next gate, and you see everyone crowded around televisions, and it's like, what the hell is going on? We go to the television, and you see it. I was like, holy shit! One of the trade centers is on fire, and just about that time, the second plane hits the second tower, and I looked at my partner. I said, "We're going to war. We're going to war," and it's like, okay, they shut down the airports. All right, so now you have. This is Houston Hobby, and you have the the airport police trying to get everyone out of the terminals, and people were arguing with him. He's like, hey, I got my flight ticket. He's like, what do you understand? They shut down the air. Nothing is flying. And so I tell my partner, I said, listen, let's help them. So I go and I tell him, I say, hey, listen, Deputy U.S. Marshals will help you with these knuckleheads that just don't get it. And so we start working everybody out of the terminals. It's like, look, you guys got to go. It's like, I got a meeting over here. It's like, there's nothing leaving. The air is shut down. We just got attacked. We're going to war. Get out. Now, go. All right? So we finally clear the terminals, and now it's like everybody waiting to get a taxi to get somewhere. And so we come out of the terminal, and there's this huge mob of people waiting for the taxis. And I tell my partner, I said, hey, let's stand over here. And she's like, well, why? And I said, look, it's a terrorist attack. It's 100%. They've been attacking the shit out of us since since before I was in the Navy. You look at Beirut, right? The barracks bombings. You look at 92, the first trade center bombings, right? They just have. They've just been after us. And frankly, I can see a car bomb coming up and setting itself off and wiping all those people out. So we're going to stand over here behind this pillar and wait. patiently.
And you had a prisoner still at the time, right?
We didn't make it to Arizona to pick up our prisoner.
Oh, okay. You're on your way to go.
We were on our way to get there and bring him back to Texas. So another interesting thing that it was wild, because people act like, hey, everything's fine. Nobody hates us. We're America. Everyone wants to come here. But deep down, they know that there are factions out there that want to see our destruction. And here's why I say that. Okay. Because every taxi driver that pulled up that looked like they were from the Middle East, no one would get in their car. Nobody.
Instant.
I'm watching this. I'm watching this. So this is, I already did 3 deployments with Team 4 all over South and Central America. I already did my 4 years with Dev Group, doing their shit, and now I'm with the Marshal Service, and so I already know what's going on, and we're fighting the war on terror before it was the war on terror, and I'm seeing this, and so deep down, even back then, people knew. It's like, look, these countries, and I'm not saying those taxi drivers were combatants or that they wanted to do us harm, but deep down, the people refused to get in their taxis because they looked like they were from the Middle East. This was before even anything came out on the news on who attacked us. And they did not get in their car. Refused to get in their taxi.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we make our way to the station in Houston, the Marshal station in Houston, and we borrow a car and we drive back to Corpus, and put everything away, and tell them, it's like, hey, this is what happened. So, and I immediately get on the phone because I'm still in the reserves. I'm a first class. I'm a 18 Delta trained medic, corpsman, and still in the reserves. I'm a E6 for those who don't know what a first class is, and I'm calling SEAL Team 4 reserves. I'm like, hey, when are you activating us? We're going to war. Like, we're not activating anybody, but you could re-enlist. And I didn't know enough about the reserves.
Why'd you call back to 4 instead of Deb Group?
Because I belonged to SEAL Team 4's reserve unit.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right? Demnick doesn't have a reserve unit. I don't know if they have one now. I don't think they do, but they because again, SEAL Team 6, well, I can't talk about that. Anyways, they didn't have a reserve unit. So not like how we have it now. Back then, the reserves, each command had their own little reserve. Like SDV Team 2 had the reserve unit. SEAL Team 4 had the reserves unit. I think SEAL Team 1 had a reserve unit, and you had to attach to them. Okay? So back then, when you screened for the command, you had to have at least 2 deployments under your belt and had at least 3 years in the teams to qualify to screen. Okay? And then they had separate screenings. You had a screening for the assault team, and you had a screening for gray team, because they wanted to get SEALs back in the boats over there, because they just needed that mentality in the boats. I screened for the assault team. I got picked up for the assault team. All right. It's time to go to green team, and the XO at SEAL Team 4 is like, hey, we just got this letter from SEAL Team 6 that says, hey, you could keep any essential personnel at your command that's slated to come to this green team, because the Gulf War just started, and our participation in that war is minimal, so you could keep everyone you want. And I'm like, well, so what are you saying? He's like, so, well, you're a Spanish speaker, you're a corpsman. I'm like, well, I really don't speak Spanish that well. I'm getting better. And they're like, no, you're staying here at Team 4. I'm like, we're not fighting in the first Gulf War. SEAL Team 4, we're regional, South and Central America and the Caribbean. He goes, yeah, but you're a Spanish speaker and you're a corpsman, so bend over, relax and clear your ears, and get ready to take it. So you're not going to green team. I'm like, motherfucker, all right, put me in a platoon, deploy again. So I do that deployment. I come back, and it's like, okay, green team, or 18 Delta. And back then, this is the 90s now. So if you weren't an independent duty corpsman, then you weren't going to promote to chief. All right. So going to 18 Delta, I would be special forces, a special soft independent duty corpsman. So I call over to the command and I'm like talking to all my sea daddies over there that are corpsmen as well. And I was like, hey, look, will SEAL Team 6 send me to 18 Delta? It's like, yeah, after you do your 3 years, after you do your time in an assault team, you had to earn schools back then. You had to earn them. And so I'm like, well, shit. And everyone I talk to is like, look, we're always going to be here. Go to 18 Delta. It's going to be good for your career. And I'm glad I did, because when I went to 18 Delta, that's when I met my wife. Right. So I'm in San Antonio, and I had family down in Corpus Christi, and would go and visit them, and they were friends of my wife's parents, and that's how her and I met. And so I finished 18 Delta, which is about a year-long course, and I forget the whole idea of going to SEAL Team 6. And I'm going to go back to Team 4, and I'm at the quarterdeck. It's like, yeah, man, so-and-so was just here, and, he's looking for guys, and give him a call. And so I call him. He's like, yeah, no, your screening's still good. Call Jay Sawyer. He's the Master Chief. So I called Jay, and I'm like, hey, I hear, I screened. It's been a while, but, are you still interested in me? He's like, yeah, what do you think of boats? And I'm like, Jay, can I call you back? So I call all my buddies over there again, and they're like, look, you say no to Jay, you're never coming over here. You go do your time in the boats, and then come to this whole team afterwards. And so I'm like, all right, Jay, I'll go. So that's how I ended up going to Great Team and doing the boats. And, I'm glad in some aspects, I'm glad I did it. In some aspects, I'm not. And the aspects that I'm glad I did it was I learned a new skill. And these boats, it's not swick. All right? I don't want people to think it's these rubber boats with the big old inflatable sponson, bumper boats. So it's like, oh, I'm not going to break shit. No, these are open ocean, high-speed assault craft, going 70, 90 miles an hour. I mean, our cruising speed was 45 knots. And it didn't matter sea states, and we would just get after it, right? Get after it. Destroyed there's no seats, right? It's a bolster. You lean up against it. And that's why my knees are shot. That's why my spine is shot. We would take hits so hard that we'd pass out, right? And I'd wake up down on the bottom, down in the gunnel, right? And holding onto the steering wheel, and then I'd come through and stand back up and keep driving. Like, Jesus, just stupid, just stupid. But yeah, they take a lot of life out of you. So in that aspect, how hard it is on our body, I wish I would have been smarter to take the precautions and wear the compression stuff and things while I was out there on the boat. But if you're going to be hard, you got to be stupid, right? So back to Corpus. So I'm with the Marshal Service, and I'm calling Team 4, and they're like, no, you can re-enlist. And I'm like, well, I'll lose my job with the Marshals. And I waited 2 years. And this is what I'm saying. I didn't educate myself enough to know that I actually could have re-enlisted and stayed in for 5 more years, and the Marshals would have had to have held my job for me. I didn't know that. Because again, I didn't educate myself. I didn't read the fine print. And so I called the Marines. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm a corpsman. I know we're going to war. Because this is about getting to war. We're going to war. We're getting attacked again. We're going to war. And got to go. They said the same thing. Man, we'd love to have you. Yeah, absolutely. 18 Delta Medic. Yeah, we're going to go. But we're not activating anybody. And this is where I learned about, and it's in the book too, Tip of the Spear. It's not what you think. Talking about authorities and permissions. And the reason they weren't activating anybody is because Congress hadn't approved any authorities for the military to start activating reservists to go to war. Right? That's a process that has to happen in order to
actually send the troops.
Right.
How long does that usually take? How long did it take for the 9/11?
It took a bit,
right?
It did.
Yeah, because they didn't start deploying until like a year later, or was it 9 months, or something like that?
It took a while. It took a while. I think some of the Army units, some of the other units were able to get approved faster. I think, but the soft units, the special forces units, and I'm speculating. I'm just going off of when I saw them starting to mobilize people, starting to get those authorities and permissions to bring people out of their civilian job and bringing them back active duty and going and doing things, and then coming back. And so so I'm all boo-boo lipped. I'm still here as a marshal, doing my job. Still watching shit now. It's like, who's all these people taking pictures of the courthouse, right? What's going on? And for all those folks, it's like, it's my right. I could take pictures. Like, look, put yourself in my shoes, right? We just got attacked. They use bombs. They use car bombs. They use vests. And I'm not supposed to go and ask somebody, hey, why are you taking pictures of where I work? What is so cool about this square building with brick around it that you have to take pictures, right? That you're hanging out.
They do that everywhere.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's my constitutional right. It's like, well, okay, you know what? And I would say that I have a constitutional right for self-defense. Why do I have to wait for someone to attack me to just investigate and ask? And that's why when people understand, it's like, put yourself in someone else's shoes before you're so quick to say, oh, what do you mean I can't take pictures? It's my right, I can take pictures. This is the sidewalk. I could use this. My taxpayer dollars, all this stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, but you know what? You're not putting your life on the line. Put your life on the line. Go to another country. Get shot at. Let people try to blow you up. Come home and see if you think the same way. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying I believe in the law. I do, 100%. But at the same time, don't instigate our people, our men and women that are getting paid to protect us. And if they come across as they're being a little too heavy-handed or they're asking some questions that I don't want to answer, it's like, understand why they're doing that before you go berserko and it is like, I don't have to answer that. It's like, okay, but our job is to protect.
Yeah.
Whether I'm in the military and I'm fighting overseas, I'm still protecting the homeland versus the police officer, men and women, and firefighters and EMTs. All of them.
Yeah.
Right? All of them. They got to find this shit out. So anyway, back to the story. I digress. But
no, I feel so sorry for these police officers. They can't do anything without everybody pulling out their phones and recording them now.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's like. Imagine if you went to work and every time you had to do something that was important at work, everybody pulled out their camera and started recording you.
Yeah.
You're just adding more pressure to an already overpressured situation.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm sure they're getting used to it. And so, but I commend all these police officers that are out there because I don't know how I would react if somebody started doing it because us,
Sure.
We get angry.
We do. No, we do. And I would say this to the police officers, to the men and women out there that are facing that is, and it's easier said than done. I acknowledge that 100%. But don't take it personal. Even though it's personally happening to you, don't take it personal. The issue is with that person. The issue is not with you. Stay calm, stay safe, and don't let them take you down that rabbit hole because that's what they want. It's exactly right out of the playbook of any kind of insurrection or any kind of uprising or whatnot. Is how do I, when I was in Gaza, I saw it during the second Intifada. I saw it first off, right? I saw a couple blocks away. Here are the adults. They're telling the kids, okay, here's what you do. I know here. These are good rocks right here. To make sure you throw it at the soldiers or what. And then 2 blocks down, the kids are antagonizing the soldiers, trying to get them to shoot them, whether with rubber bullets or do something, so they could get it all on film, so they could show the world, look, we're oppressed and they're killing our children. And it's like, okay, I'm a parent. Am I going to have my kids, hey, go and throw rocks at the police officer? Yeah. Go stand in front of their vehicle and don't let them get through.
Well, they believe in inshallah.
Yes, our God will.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Right. So in their culture, I had to take Arabic twice, 2 semesters of Arabic when I was in the teams, and I hated it. The first time I took it, I didn't pay attention at all the entire time. And at the end, on the final test, I did abacadabra on the final, like the little pencil them in.
Yep.
I just did abacadabra because I just wanted to be done with it and get back to my platoon. And I ended up getting the second best score.
So for those who don't know what abacadabra is you're going A, B, C. You're just filling in the different letters.
I ended up
spell
getting
abacadabra.
I got the second best score, and they're like, "You were so good. We're gonna put you in part 2 of this course."
You know how many people you're going to get into Harvard now?
Yeah.
Too funny.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I get this cold call from the agency. Well, I didn't know it was the agency. I just get this cold call, and they're like, "Hey, ma'am, we are having interviews. We're looking for people. Your name got passed to us. We're up in D.C. Do you want to come in and have a chat?" And I asked him one question. And again, it's in the book, Tip of the Spear. It's not what you think. Do I get to go to Afghanistan? And they got quiet on the phone. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, send me the tickets. All right. Just to remind everybody, I'm living in Corpus Christi, Texas, where my wife was born and raised.
Shout out to Corpus.
Shout out to Corpus, right?
One of the most underrated places.
361, what's up? So my wife is born and raised. Her father was born and raised in Corpus, surrounded by her family. We're in Corpus. We have the first grandchild to her parents. And I'm now getting ready to rip my wife and my daughter out of Corpus, and we're going to Northern Virginia. And when I told him to send me the tickets, and I came home, and this is before I didn't talk to my wife about it or nothing. I just sent me the tickets. Time to go to war. And again, going back to this is why I respect her and just think the world of her. Because when I came home and I told her, I was expecting a fight. I was expecting tears. I was expecting crocodile tears and like, you can't do this with my family and all this other stuff. That's what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, I don't know who it was on the phone, but I'm going up to D.C. and I'm going to get interview for a job, and I'm going to go to Afghanistan. And we're probably going to have to move. And she looked at me. You do what you have to do. No tears, no nothing. She's like, you go and you do what you have to do.
That's strong. Good on you, Ryan. I think on this subject, like all these frogman books that are coming out, or special operators of whatever sort, like there should be a couple chapters that are dedicated that the wife can, or the girlfriend or fiance or whatever it is, that they can like chime in and say, this is what my experience was like. I think that'd be kind of cool to put that into a book and to give different perspective on the situation, because there's a lot of very strong women out there that sacrifice more than we do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I can't imagine,
Yeah.
we're gone for 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
And they don't know if we're coming back, and they have the kids. And in a lot of cases, you're the breadwinner. So you have the financial stress of everything, but you also have that's your loved one out there. So yeah, I honestly think frogmen should leave chapters in their books for the, their significant others that were also a part of it.
No, absolutely. And I kind of hit on it a little bit in Tip of the Spear. It's not what you think when I'm talking about how our priorities change. When I was 19 years old, showing up to the teams compared to, being married at 30 years old, 29, 30 years old, right? And then having our child at 32. And, I used to give guys shit all the time when I was single, especially over at SEAL Team 6. He was like, well, we're gonna get these guys out early because they got wives and kids to get to. And then I was like, oh, so single guys have to work harder? This is fucking bullshit, right? Like Master Chief said, we wanted you to have a wife and kids. We would have issued you a wife and kids. This is fucking bullshit. And you know what? Even when I had a wife and kid, I still felt that way, right? I still didn't let that happen because I'm not saying that team guys shouldn't have wives and kids. I shouldn't say that. I mean, I realized that, you know what, I'm not going to be a hypocrite, and you know, the guys I would give shade to because you know their family got in the way, and believe it or not, this is why a lot of the training that we do is away from home. It's not because we can't train there where the command's at. We go away. It's like, okay, people focus on training, and then no one's in a rush to get out of there.
Wow, I've never thought about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This is why it's such a unique experience to have you on here, because you had so many leadership roles.
Yeah.
Right. Being leadership as enlisted and as a commissioned officer, you've kind of like been at the top, and I never got that far. I stopped at 8 and got out. That was like my big crossroads where I made my decision.
Sure.
And so, but my next step would have been enlisted leadership. Chief would have been next, you know, and I would have gone on. And so it's interesting to hear stuff that I never quite got to because I got out early.
Right.
So,
right. And thanks for your service. And I mean that. And I thank people. I know a lot of people is like, you know, why the fuck are you thanking me? It's like, you know, when I got to the teams in 87, is when I checked in the SEAL Team 4. Okay. People in the military were considered second-class citizens. They just were. I had a Washington State driver's license, and I had a military ID card. And if I wanted to go into a bar in Virginia, it's like, let me see your ID. Here's my Washington State driver's license. We don't accept out-of-state driver's license. Well, here's my military ID. We don't accept military IDs. Huh. Okay. Got it. Clearly targeting the military folks, right? First Gulf War happens. And this is, you know, some of the, I know you're talking about, you were talking to Alex about, you know, a lot of political landscape and everything that's happening and, you know, why people do what they do. First Gulf War breaks out. It is a ghost town around Virginia Beach and Norfolk. And all those businesses that were treating us like we're shit, bring our sailors home. Bring our sailors home, because now they're all going out of business because no one's there to use their
drinking all their booze.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know, it all feeds the economy, right? There's no one buying cars. There's no one buying furniture. There's no one going to the movies. There's no one going to the restaurants. No one getting haircuts. No one buying clothes. No one buying shoes. No one buying toys for the kids. No, you know, it goes on and on and on and on and on. And all those people that work in those other industries, they buy food, they buy toys, and they buy clothes, and they get haircuts, and they go to movies, and they go to restaurants. You know, it's a cycle. When you look at our economy and you look at our GDP, 70% of our country's GDP is services. What does that tell you? We got to put people to work.
Yeah.
People got to work, because when people work, people spend. And so that's why you see that stimulus. Well, people aren't working because of COVID. Well, let's put money in their hands so they can still go buy shit. Yeah, but people still aren't going out.
Yeah,
they're
not letting them
go out. Yeah, they're buying GameStop stock. Anyway, it matters, right? And I understand that, you know, it's like that whole stigma, and people still say it, and you know, that drunken sailor, right? That drunken sailor. It's like, sure, you know, it's not just
people like me.
Well, and it's not just drunken sailors.
You can point your finger.
You see the same shenanigans at college towns. You know, you got 20-somethings that have a little bit of money in their pocket, and they're gone for months at a time. They're gonna come home. They're gonna party. They're gonna party. They're gonna drink. They're gonna go and try to find themselves.
On that subject, what are your thoughts with the zero tolerance policy for alcohol on deployments?
So the thing with zero tolerance. So I agree with not altering your senses when you're on a short fuse. And when I was with GRS, you know, we'd go to a lot of places where you know, the station, they had a bar. And we would do our runs. We would, you know, and I was with GRS and I was a Blue Badger. I mean, I was not a contractor. I was an actual agency employee. we were doing the runs. Now the way they do things is a lot of the contractors are doing the runs, and the Blue Badgers are managing all these multiple contractors. Um, and we would do things, and we'd be in some hairy situations, and the station personnel that we just pulled out of a pickle, or that we just got out of a hairy situation, they're like, hey, I want to buy you a drink, let's go to the bar. And we had a zero drink policy while we were there, and we worked every day.
That was GRS.
GRS.
It was the same as in the teams too.
Yeah. So it was zero drink. And I was like, look, I appreciate it, but we can't drink, and I'm not saying that people that do it, I'm not going to go and, I mean, that guy drank. No, not at all. Not at all. Me personally, I chose not to. I chose not to because, it's last thing, there's 2002 in Afghanistan, and mortar rounds are coming in, and shit's happening. I don't want to be hungover. I don't want to be hungover, or I don't want to be passed out. That's just me.
Yeah.
But a drink, I see both sides, right? We're adults, we're putting our life on the line. I should be able to have an adult beverage. It's like, okay, got it. But now you're going to have that 10%. We get into leadership, and you start realizing that you spend 90% of your time on 10% of your people.
You're taking a risk, right? You're taking a risk every time you allow it. But here's my thing, and mine's more drawn out over a number of months that I saw when I was in the teams, and I saw it on all 3 deployments.
Yeah.
Like, the problem I always had with the zero tolerance policy is guys are used to having drinks on the weekends.
Right.
They're used to hanging out, and that's kind of like how they let off steam.
Right.
And because you're doing such a hard job, you need to let off steam.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to blow up. Right. So what we would see is we would get downrange, and it's very easy to get pharmaceuticals downrange.
Yeah.
So if guys can't have alcohol, well, they'll just send a terp to go get them something that'll make them feel good, and they'll get that fix to relax.
Yeah.
To let off steam.
Yeah.
So now you have guys that are doing prescription medication that they can buy over the counter overseas, and then they're getting addicted to that.
Yeah.
And then they smuggle that shit back, and then when they get back after a 9-month deployment, now they're mixing prescription pills with alcohol because now they're able to drink again. And then that's when they get the DUI or the domestic violence assault.
Sure.
Or so it completely ruined a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And I think they need to get rid of that zero tolerance policy, honestly.
So let me talk a little bit more about it. So
just have a more controlled allowable.
I'm talking about like the if you're in a standby situation, right? Which is with GRS, we were always in a standby situation. But other station personnel were not. So they drank, right? They had a schedule. If you have a schedule and you're not going to be opping, and like you said, the weekends, hey, we're not doing anything on the weekends. We're not nothing dangerous. Sure, man. Have a couple drinks. Have a couple drinks. You blow off some steam. No different than if you're back home.
Yeah.
Right? I have no problem with that. And also understand, this is another thing that folks don't understand about zero tolerance. Okay? Zero tolerance, this is because I didn't read the fine print and realized that I actually could have re-enlisted when I came back active duty, but as an officer in 2009, because they started activating me. So they activated me in 2007, sent me to the Horn of Africa as a task unit commander. And then, and if you've never been activated as a reservist, it's the worst. So I'm a civilian. I'm doing EP, right? And hey, you have 29 days to report. Like, what? I said, listen, I haven't even moved my family over here yet, and I just started a new job, and I was like, we don't care. You have 29 days to report. Okay? And so, again, I didn't read the fine print, didn't understand. I actually had rights. I could have said, but it's like, okay, hey, I got to do it, dear. And again, she supported me. She was like, Rodney, this really sucks. No, I get it, dear. It does. It sucks for me too. So I go and I do that deployment. I come back, and it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Do I stay as a civilian and stay in the reserves? Do I go back active duty and just finish my time? Because at this point, I have 15 active duty years now. I do, in my mind, I'm like, I do 5 years active duty and I can retire and they'll leave me alone. And so we decided to go back active duty in 2009. But now I'm an officer and I know I have to deploy again. Okay, so do another deployment, another workup, and went with Team 3 in 2010. But this time to the Southern Philippines. So After 9/11, I've been to Iraq. Afghanistan, Iraq, Colombia, Venezuela, Palestinian territories, Horn of Africa, Southern Philippines.
Jeez.
After 9/11.
How long was each one of those deployed?
After 9/11.
How long was it? Like, what's the range?
So with GRS, it is about 90 days.
Okay.
45 to 90 days.
3 months.
Right? Yeah, but we're working every day, 16-hour days.
Yeah.
Okay. The deployment, so Horn of Africa, 6 months, Southern Philippines, 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I truly have gone to all of that, even though, you know, folks look at my picture and they look at my uniform and it's like, yeah, well, he doesn't have an Afghanistan campaign, or he doesn't have an Iraq campaign, or yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, I was with the agency when I was there, and we're getting to Tim Kennedy, right?
Yeah, we'll get there.
We're getting there. So, Joe, if you read the policy, it doesn't say if someone gets caught drinking, then you kick them out, right? That's not zero tolerance. Zero tolerance is it needs to be addressed. That's it. That's it. It's very similar to back when affirmative action, and I this is a sore spot for me, because when back in the 80s coming in, oh, you're only here because of affirmative action. It's like, no, Bud wasn't any easier for me, motherfuckers. All right, there's not no affirmative action. But people looked at affirmative action. If you read it, it says if they're qualified. Never did it say you need to hire someone who's not qualified. No, if they're qualified. If they're qualified, then a certain percentage needs to be there. But people just take it to that next level because they don't want to be investigator. They don't want to be inspector or whatnot. But zero tolerance, same thing. It doesn't mean I got to kick someone out because I caught them drinking alcohol when they weren't supposed to be. It's like, no, it just needs to be addressed. That's it. So that's zero tolerance.
Right on. Well, let's move on. Let's get into the book. I found it very fascinating. I think, you know, I've read a lot of team guy books, and I really like this one because you dive more into like the personality of a team guy, and what it takes. And this is what the kind of the message I'm always trying to give to the viewers. Like you see Hollywood, the shooting, the running, the gunning, like it's awesome, it's glamorous, but behind that takes a certain type of quality of a person to get to this point, and not just to get there, but to maintain and stay there.
Yeah.
And so I found your book like a great resource for anybody that's interested in becoming a Navy SEAL, or anybody that's even into teams and maybe they're falling into leadership positions at this time, or they've been in leadership positions and they're looking for something to like reignite that fire and be like, okay, I remember why I'm doing this, because it's very easy over a long period of time to kind of like lose your way a little bit. So, you know, one of the first questions I had, that was like, you know, in your book, you know, you talk about how, you know, there's too much known about special operations already out there, but yet then you went and wrote a book. Like, explain that, and then how you struggle with that line, and where is that line? Explain that to people that might quite, because a lot of people are going to ask the same questions. How can you mean one thing, but then you do another?
Sure. No, great question, and thank you for that. Yeah, there is too much known about the capabilities that we have as a country, as a fighting force. What I write about is how anyone can be the best version of themselves. I'm not writing about TTPs, which is tactics, techniques, and procedures, right? I'm not writing about that. I'm not saying, you know, hey, this is how you take down a room. I'm not saying, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do. I'm not writing about that. I'm writing about is, you know, hey, there I was, you know, knee deep in hand grenade pins, down to my last magazine and a knife in my mouth, and I'm gonna go and, you know, fight this 100, you know, mugs. No, not at all. Not at all. I know, right? That's what Shawn had to do. I didn't have to. I ran away. It was like, dude, there's too many of them. Let's get the hell out of here, right?
Tim Kennedy.
So we'll get to that. But no, it's great point. It's like, hey, you're saying too many people know too much about our capabilities. Yeah. Why? Because there's a lot of countries out there that want to see us fail. So why highlight our most lethal capabilities, our most you know, capable forces? Why highlight that? Why highlight that? Just let us be who we are. Let us do our thing. Let's do our thing. We don't need to be heroes. We don't need to be superstars. We don't need to be famous. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't. Do I want to sell my book? Yes. Why? Because I think it will make Americans better, great. Everyone has the ability to be the best version of themselves. Everybody does. I use my background. I use the way I came up from humble means, not knowing anything about the military, not shooting guns, never swimming in the ocean, never having fins on my feet, not an Olympic swimmer, not this, not that, but not willing to say no. And understanding that if I listen to the people who are teaching me, if I mimic what they're doing because it's successful, then I will be successful. Instead of looking at excuses and saying, well, he's a Navy SEAL, so it's easy for him to have ownership. No, bullshit. Bullshit. And I say it in the book. If you paid for pay-per-view and your event started, but it's not coming up on your screen, how long are you going to be on that phone with the cable company to make sure that your pay-per-view started playing, right? That's ownership. No different than us taking ownership of my career, of my responsibilities as a dad, as a husband, as a teammate, as a provider, as a brother, as a friend. We wear multiple hats, and that's what the book is talking about. The book is talking about all the different things that you are. You're not just this. You're not. And you can be great at the things you choose to be great at. You can be elite at the things you choose to be elite at. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be hard? Well, yeah. And that's why I use the spear as an analogy, because if you look at what it takes to make steel, it's a lot of heat and it's a lot of pressure. And even after that, once you get that perfect spear head and that perfect spear tip, it still gets blemished. It still gets chips in it. And so what happens? You find some harden it and you start honing it and you start sharpening it again to get used again. Not to praise, not to put on a pedestal. It's like, oh, you're the best spearhead ever. Oh, this tip of the spear was the best. It was only used once, but it was the best. No, bullshit. It's a tool. It's a tool that's designed to be used over and over and over. And that's what you choose to be when you choose to be elite at something. So understand it. Don't get angry about it. Don't get mad when your fans are like, oh, I can't believe you didn't put out another record. That's what they expect. You're the best at this. They expect that. They expect that. When you use a cutting edge, do you expect it to be dull? Or do you expect it to cut?
Right. That's really well said.
Sorry, man. I get a little
no, it's okay. I love it.
Yeah.
It's passionate. I love your passion.
Thanks.
I can see why you were probably a really great leader.
You know what? I loved all my sailors because there's no greater feeling than when you can draw the best version out of somebody. And it had nothing to do with grandstanding or, I made it, not at all. It's like seeing people and seeing the self-doubt but seeing their potential and saying, you know what? I was you back in the day. I was that E1, that E2, that E3. I was that first class. Why do you think I'm different? I'm not. You can do the same thing. Not too long ago, I got reached out by one of my sailors, a female sailor, who she's like, okay, I don't know what to do. I want to be a lawyer. I think I'm gonna have to leave the military so I can go focus on that. And I'm like, well, listen, why don't you go into the JAG Corps? So, well, what's that? Give her this. Here's this program right now. They're streamlining people. I hadn't heard from her in years. She reached out about a month ago, sir. Finished law school, just passed the bar, getting ready to swear in as an officer in the JAG Corps.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for putting me on that path.
Good for her. Good for her and good for you for
absolutely
recognizing it.
That's what, but isn't that what we should do for that next generation, right?
Yeah,
we can't, eventually that spear tip is going to wear down so much where you're going to get to the shaft. And so why not get that next generation ready?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So I take it she wasn't a Navy SEAL though.
we have not had a female. I don't think even make it through pre-training yet.
No, I think so.
Yeah, but
They did try though.
It's open. It's
They
open to
They
females.
did try, right? I don't think anyone's made it past the second there.
No.
Yeah. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, if they can do it, good on you.
It's a choice though. It's a lifestyle, and that's the thing, right? People think, "Oh, I made it through buds," and then it stops. No, man. It's like I said, buds in the book. Buds makes you a billet. You are just a piece of steel right now. What am I going to do with you?
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to shape you. Now I got to make you into something that's utilitarian that I could use.
Mm-hmm.
That's what buds is. Everyone thinks it's like, oh, when you leave buds, you're this killer. You're this. You're just like, no, man. That's just to show people that we're trainable, that we're not going to quit, that we're not going to, start crying. It's like, oh, this training's hard. I'm going to stop. He's like, well, the mission sucks even worse. I don't want to do this. No. That's what people don't understand. They think buds is it. It's not, man. Buds is just a start. Buds is just can I train this mug? And that's where, folks, when you talk about, earn your trident every day, I know it has SQT now, but back when I got in the teams, when each team ran their own STT. And I get it. They wanted to standardize everything, right? Because you had SEAL Team 2 doing their own thing. You had SEAL Team 4 doing their own thing. There was no SEAL Team 8. You had SEAL Team 1, SEAL Team 3, SEAL Team 5. They were doing their own training and all this. But we were regional.
Mm-hmm.
We focused on different things. We were regional. But because of that, when someone left a team and went to another team, they went through their STT again.
Oh, you had to do it all over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You had to earn your trident.
Yeah.
And we would have guys that would fail. And guess what? They got another shot. And if they failed again, guess what they did to them?
After they're already in.
After they were already team back. They came from the West Coast and they failed SEAL Team 4's.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They failed SEAL Team 4's STT. Hey, we'll let you go through it again. They failed again. It's like, hey, man, they're not cutting the mustard. Mm-hmm. They went to the fleet for a year. Yeah, and then they can ask to come back.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, I get it, right? It's a bigger organization. We're all under SOCOM, and this is the other thing too, right? I ask people, when was SOCOM first stood up? Mm-hmm. Do you know the date that SOCOM was first stood up?
Mm.
I do.
No.
You know why? Because our BUDS graduation took second fiddle to the formation of SOCOM. So wow. July 10th of 1987, General Lindsay, the first commanding general of SOCOM, stood it up. And so now...
You became a SEAL when I was 4 years old.
Thanks. I feel even older now.
And I'm 41.
Yeah. So anyways, I mean, it's good that we're standardized because we got more equipment now. We got better training, and we go as a task unit, and it's definitely a sizable force instead of just 16 guys going out there and doing the best they can. But that's the roots, right? That's where a lot of my mentality comes from when I say, he's like, depend on yourselves.
Mm.
Because other people are dependent on you, and they're going to depend on themselves because you're dependent on them. We all have to do our part, just like the spear analogy that I use in the book. I use that for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? It's the whole of the spear. That tip is combat ineffective without the shaft. It just is.
Yeah. So. What would it feel like to come into the public eye with the book?
I'm not really in the public eye. No one really knows me.
You are. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
No, as soon as you make the decision, you cross over and there's no going back.
No, to me it's easy because again, I wrote the book not to make the next generation of SEALs. I wrote the book to tell folks in our country, to tell the world really, but mainly our country, because I started seeing a lot of folks, a lot of these younger generations just thinking that there's no hope, there's no future for them and whatnot. And it's like, we are the land of opportunity. I get it, man. There's some hardships and there's some challenges, but there's a reason millions of people want to come to our country every year. I've been to 52 countries.
Yeah,
I have. I'd come back off a deployment from downrange when I was with the agency. My wife would pick me up at the airport. It didn't matter what time of the night it was, what time of the morning it was, and I'd say, "Sweetie, let's stop at 7-Eleven." It was right, and I'd go to stop at 7, and I'd get a big gulp. And I'd get back in the car, and she asked me, she's like, why do you want to go in there? Because you know what? This is fucking America. This is land of the free right here. You don't see this shit in other places.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about somebody robbing us. I'm not worried about relatively safe, right? Relatively safe. I could go get what I want. Have a banana. Take bananas away from the United States. See how pissed everyone's going to get. We lived in Germany for a while. We're like, hey, man, where's the strawberries? Oh, it's not strawberry season. What do you mean? We have strawberries all the time in the United States. People don't realize. It's like, look, I fight for our way of life. We fight for our way of life. We take so much shit for granted. And yet people will get up and say, screw America. I can't believe America. This is the worst country ever. It's just like, you have no idea what's
just across the border. Go up into Canada for a day.
Absolutely.
Stop into a gas station. You'll see half the amount of stuff on the shelves.
Yes. It's
Everyone's
true.
like, why is there half as much stuff? Because nobody ships their stuff there.
That's right. That's exactly right.
They don't like their rules, or they don't like their tariffs, or whatever it is. It's just not productive for a company that's trying to make money.
It's true.
It's
so true.
Not friendly. And Mexico's even way worse.
Yeah.
Poor guys.
Yeah. You can't drink the water from the sink.
No, let's get into a little bit about your book.
Sure.
I know you were talking about the Trinity of leadership.
Yeah.
If you want to go over that and explain, just touch on it. I know you don't want to talk about the entire book, but I thought this was a good point, Trinity of leadership, and
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. So I actually stole this from. So I used to be big into fighting. Sifu Pat Trey. I got my instructorship under him, and he got his instructorship under Guru Sifu now, Dan Inasano, and in Kali and Thai boxing.
Okay.
And we were big into fighting. Blue team, we were just big into fighing. And the command,
cool.
Paid for me to go. So it's like, why not? And their rationale is, if you're going to be a good fighter, right? It's a triangle. If you're going to be a good fighter, you got to be a good teacher and you got to be a good student. If you're going to be a good teacher, you got to be a good fighter. You got to be a good student. If you're going to be a good student, you got to be a good fighter, a good teacher, right? It's that triangle. And when I became a leader, when I became an officer, I looked at it the same way, right? If I'm going to be a good leader, I need to be a good student and I need to be a good teacher. And they serve each other, right? Because being a leader is more than just you have to make all the decisions yourself. It's like, yeah, I get it. I'm responsible. When I was a commanding officer, it was the responsibility was absolute. If you ever read the old Charge of Command, I know there's a new Charge of Command, but the old Charge of Command, and we sign it when we take command. It's like, your responsibility for your command is absolute. What does that mean? That means I don't get to say, oh, it was Chief so-and-so's fault, or it was Master Chief so-and-so's fault, or it was Petty Officer so. No, 100% it's me. And I was having some struggles with all my staff and whatnot, and they didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. And I finally was like, you know what? I'm gonna let them read what I signed.
You should explain the difference between the enlisted contract you signed versus the officer contract.
Absolutely. So the enlisted take an oath of service. Okay, so they're going to serve, and that's what their oath is in general.
To obey orders.
Right. The officers take an oath to a position. That's why we're commissioned versus non-commissioned. Not very similar to law enforcement, right? They take an oath to a position to uphold the laws of the Constitution and any other county, state, or local laws. As an officer in the military, we're upholding Title 10 laws, the Constitution, and it's a position. And that's why Congress has to approve your commission. Congress says, yes, you can be one of our agents to uphold Title 10, which is the law. Okay? So that's the difference. So, and I talk about it in Tip of the Spear, It's Not What You Think, where it's the enlisted are in charge because they're doing things, because they take the oath of service and they do a great job. They do a fantastic job and they're smart as shit.
Thank you.
They are. No, and I was enlisted
I
for
was
16
enlisted.
years. Yeah, I was enlisted for 16 years. But when you become an officer, you're responsible. Okay?
Yeah.
You're responsible. You're responsible to understand the authorities and permissions and the laws. And a lot of times the enlisted, we get said no. It's like, what do you mean? Because it's what you ask is a great question, because you could see this in the corporate world, and you could see this in schools, and you could see this anywhere. It's like, perfect example is the old movie Die Hard. You remember the first Die Hard? Okay. And the FBI guys were like saying, hey, let's cut the power to that building. And you got the technician down there, and he's like, yeah, man, I could do it right here. And you have the city manager like saying, no, man, you can't cut the power. You can't. He said, no, I could cut it. It's right. I just need to flip a switch. The FBI goes, cut the power. He's like, no, you can't cut the power. You can't cut the power. He's like, no, really, it's just a switch. It's just a switch. I can just do it. The difference is authorities and permissions to get the power cut versus mechanically, can I do that? Yeah, I could do that. I can. It's easy. I could do that. We train for it. We know how to do it. We have all the equipment. We could do it right now. Oh, yeah, but we don't have the permission to do it. Or I don't have the authority to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where the officers come in. And that's why a lot of times where it's like what makes sense doesn't happen because we didn't have the permissions and authorities. You know, we fight in a whole of government, okay? There's other entities on the battle space that are doing other things. And what makes sense to us to go and do may jeopardize something that another entity is doing somewhere else.
Or the president sitting at his desk that has his own intentions and ideas of what needs to happen and when.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand, but missions that we go on downrange, they go through multiple levels of approval. And if they're high profile, I mean, this president of the United States is sitting there at his desk and he'll go yes or no.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, a lot of people think we have full autonomy when we're downrange and we could just kind of do whatever we want as Navy SEALs. No, there's checks that come along the way. And sometimes there's teams that are out there and they're planning for a mission all year. And if it's not the right timing or the wind's not blowing the right direction or whatever the political landscape is going on in the world at that specific time, that it gets canked. And so,
bro, tell me about it, man.
I see a lot of Sergeant
I was
Frogmen
at
out there.
SEAL Team 6 when Clinton was the president, and it wasn't just us, man. It was you know, our army brethren as well. We called it the big dog, right? We were the big red dog, right? Just on a chain. And it's like we're there. We're waiting for the green light for the last phase. Let us do it. Let us go kinetic. No.
So real quick,
right.
I want to get into introverts and extroverts.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the most interesting parts of your book that I read that related, because I saw it in every platoon. And I mean, you could probably relate this to businesses, every small little shop, office, a school, whatever it is across the country. I think they deal with that exact same problem, and it's really not talked about very much.
It isn't. No. And there's personality types, right? And an introvert is more comfortable just being by themselves. They'll sit in a car and listen to an audiobook or listen to a podcast, or they'll sit in a corner and read a book, and that is their happy place. That is where they want to be. That is where they shine, right? An extrovert is someone who's like, you know, hey, I want people around me. I want to include as many people as possible. We're going to lunch. Let's go and enjoy each other's company and just have fun, right? Well, the introverts don't feel comfortable in a crowd. They don't. That's not their comfort place. Their comfort place is being by themselves.
Yeah,
they're internalizing, right? And it's not a bad thing. And that doesn't mean that they're a bad employee. It just means that they want to focus on their job. And they want to work on their job, and they want to knock it out, and they're going to work hard. And when the extrovert shows up and says like, "Hey man, let's go to lunch," no, that's okay. I brought my lunch. Well, the extrovert's like, what a bitch. I can't believe, you know, she doesn't want to go have lunch with us, or he doesn't want to go. What an asshole. He doesn't want to go have lunch with us. It's like, no, man, they don't feel comfortable going to lunch. They have nothing, has nothing to do with you at all. But that extrovert, because they want to include everybody right away is thinking, well, they don't like me.
Yeah.
No, it's just their personality type. It's just their personality type, you know.
Yeah,
And you know what?
extroverts do tend to be a little sensitive, right?
They do
When
absolutely.
when they're told no.
They are. We are. I'm an extrovert.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, I cry every time someone says no. I don't cry. But you're right. But I drive my wife crazy, right? Because an extrovert always wants to share.
Yeah.
Right. And if I'm eating something or drinking something, and my wife isn't, I always want to share with her. And she's like, I don't want any. And I'll ask her like 20 times. I already said I don't want anything. It was like, you know, but that's just my personality. I just can't help it. Right. Yeah.
Well, I think talk about it from a leadership perspective. You know,
Sure.
what's it like to juggle that, and how do you juggle that? There's a lot of leaders out there that are dealing with the same problems you're having, where they're finding, you know, like within the platoon space, for example, the easy example, right? That cliques start to form pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I think you're dead on the money when it's introverts and extroverts that just haven't quite figured out how to get along. As a leader, how do you make that work?
Sure. No, the biggest thing is what helped me was getting folks to understand that there are different personality types.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's not personal. Although it may feel like it's personal, it's really not. Just because someone says no to coming to your barbecue doesn't mean that they don't like you. It's just they just don't like doing that.
What are some of the techniques that you used in the
Sure.
teams? Like, did you do outings, or did you try? What did you do for the introverts who don't want?
Yeah, mandatory fun. Mandatory fun is
That
always
doesn't work for them.
It's always hard for the introverts.
Yeah, so
It really is. So what I would do is I would ask the introvert. First, you have to identify the personality types. Who are my introverts? Who are my extroverts? Okay. The extroverts for mandatory fun, they're always going to say yes. They're always going to be on board. So I recommend find out who your introverts are and ask them, hey, what do you think we should do for a team building exercise? For something that, you know, some kind of, you know, command fun or some kind of, you know, business get together or whatnot. What do you think would be great? And you know what ended up happening? It's what the introverts, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, okay? They hate having their time spoken for. So,
interesting point.
If you can get the event during working hours, the introverts are fine with it, right?
That's a very all the introverts I know, they're very protective over their free time. Yeah. That's a great point. I never put those two together.
The extroverts are about the party, man. They're like, whatever, man, whatever. Yeah. But so what I started having is you know, around lunchtime or so, because we're gonna have lunchtime anyways, is doing like, you know, some either cupcake, you know, making cupcakes or chili contest, chili cook-off, or, you know, something like that. It's like, okay, you know, hey, we all find some common ground. We all can like each other. But the biggest thing is to get people to understand the different personality types, because they have to work together. And just because you come up to an introvert and you said, hey, you know, I need this, and they're short, okay, I'll get it to you tomorrow, and they're short with you, right? It was like, that doesn't mean they're angry. That doesn't mean they're giving you any kind of grief or whatnot. It's like, that's just how they are. And then the extrovert, when you come in, he's like, hey, you know, I really need this letter polished up and whatever. Like, oh, you know, hey, did you see that concert last night? And they want to talk about the football game or the whatever. So it's like, and you're like, I just really need to get this out. You know, it's kind of time sensitive. it's just understanding that it's not that they're less smart or whatnot. It's just their personality types. And once you understand their personality types, it's easier for you to manage and help them understand each other's personality types. It's like, look, man, it's not because so-and-so doesn't want to work, who's the extrovert. They just want to talk about the game last night.
Yeah.
Because they're extroverts.
Yeah.
And it's not that the introvert doesn't like you. They just want to work.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to you. They don't give a shit about the game.
I've always, you know, as I started to move into leadership positions, I was always told leader is you're just managing personalities. But like your book summed it up as cleanly as I could possibly. I mean, you broke it down. That's that statement. You're just managing personalities. If you're a good leader, you know how to manage multiple personalities, right? And I thought the way that you described that, and I think there's a lot more to that, actually. You could probably do a whole book just on that subject alone for leadership, because I think that would help a lot of people out there in corporate, in small business, in the military. Like, it doesn't matter. I think that's something leadership struggle with across the board, and there's not a blueprint on how you deal with it.
No.
And if you grew up one or the other, especially if you're an introvert leader, what does that do for, how do you manage right extroverts? So but I don't want to stay on it. I want to get to the last question that I had. That was I thought probably one of the coolest things that you said, that is very more on a personal level, and then we'll get to the Tim Kennedy thing.
Sure.
But you made a statement that you said, if my kids want me to be around their kids when they finally have kids, then I'll know I was a good dad.
Yeah.
And that hit right in the heart, because that is something that I've always believed in. I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
All right. 15 and 13. One will be 16 here in about a month.
Yeah.
But like, that one hits home for me. What did you explain that?
Sure. Absolutely. So, so in my book, Tip of the Spear, it's not what you think. I talk about, I'm talking about success, the definition of success, right? And everyone needs to identify their own definition of what success is. And I'm at a point in my life right now where success to me is being the best husband I could be and being the best father I could be. And I'm only gonna know if I'm successful at that is if my marriage continues to thrive, and when my kids have kids, if they want me to be part of their lives, if they're looking for me for guidance, if they're looking for us for advice, if they want us to continue to be part of that life, then to me that's telling that it's like, hey, you know what, we did something right.
That's the guy in Buds that quit. That's that motivation.
It is.
That's that, because you're doing something that other people can't do.
That's right. That's right. And everyone has different definitions of success. I'm not saying that my definition of success is everyone's definition of success, and I'm not putting down anyone that is struggling in their marriage or that is struggling to have a relationship with their children, because there's a lot of factors. And I get it. There's a lot of things that I can do myself, but my wife still has a say whether she wants to stay with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
My kids still have a say whether they want to be around me or not. And so it's there's a lot of things that I'll give you an example, right? It's like so we were in San Diego, is when we first went back active duty in 2009, after being in the civilian world. And then we're in San Diego. I was an East Coast frog most of my time, and then when I was on the West Coast, and it's like, hey, we want to go to the beach, we want to swim. It's like, okay, but I want to teach you guys how to swim first. What do you know about swimming, Dad? Well, I'm a fucking Navy SEAL. Are you kidding me? He's like, these are my kids. Like, what do you know about swimming? They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it. So my first instinct was to, grab him by the neck. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Right? Are you kidding me? Do you know who your dad is?
Uh-huh.
You know what? They fucking don't.
Mm.
Excuse my French, sir. I know I said I wasn't gonna.
It takes a while till they start to understand.
No, our kids don't give a shit who we are when they're kids.
Yeah, they think all dads are like that.
Yeah, they just want to know if we're around.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I had to take a step back. I had to take steps. How am I going to handle this? These kids think I have nothing to teach them. I have nothing to show them, and I do. I have a buddy, team guy, great guy, right? Team guy, BORTAC, which is the special unit in Border Patrol agency. Okay. And we're sitting there and we're drinking whiskey, and our kids are around the same age. And he's like, Rodney, our kids have no idea what we can show them. I'm like, bro, are you serious? He goes, yeah. I was like, I was thinking the same shit. I thought it was just my kids. I thought it was just me. And he's like, no, man, no. They have no clue who we are and what we're capable of. None.
No.
None. And I'm not tooting my horn. I really not. I mean, I'm humble. Look, I learned everything I know. I mean, I went to sniper school when I didn't even have my trident yet. I'm 19 in sniper school. Why? Because they needed a corpsman. So I was corpsman support. Oh, since you're here, you're going through the course. All right.
Damn.
So yeah, became a sniper. All right. All the different, becoming a Muay Thai instructor, becoming, Kali instructor, SEAL Team 6 and the CIA, U.S. Marshal, weapons expert from Flexi firearms instructor. I could go on and on and on and on and on about all the things that I can do, that I can show people, that I can pass on. But what did I choose to write about? Is everyone's potential. That's really what the book is about. If you really think about it, that's what I'm talking about. Tip of the spear. It's not what you think. It's not what you think. Too many people out there think they cannot be elite. And you can't. I'm not saying you're going to be an NFL quarterback. No, I'm not saying that. But what do? Be the best at that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what elite is. Right?
So normally I would end the podcast with like a plug to allow you to talk about your book, but I think this is a cool, interesting switch I'm going to do right here for the first time. But that was so beautifully said about the book and everything that just led up to that conversation about it.
Sure.
Tell people where they can find the book, and then we're going to talk about Tim Kennedy. I want to end on that.
Absolutely. So the book is available on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble. It's available at Walmart.com, at Target. It's available in audio. It's available in ebook. It's available in hard copy, and it's available in paperback. I'm going to get a new tranche coming in, a new where if you want them signed, they'll be showing up in mid-August, end of August. If you go to tipofthespearbook.com, that's our website. There's also some links to other podcasts, and when we finish this, I'll add that link to this podcast as well.
For sure.
If you want the book signed, and I have some coins being made by Patriot Challenge Coins,
Nice.
Brett, being made if people are going to be interested in that as well. That's where you can find it. And then in the audio version, I did narrate it myself, believe it or not.
Yeah,
it is me talking.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
I was on planes listening to your voice the whole time.
But you didn't hear the forward, so I don't know if you read the forward once you got the copy.
No, I haven't gotten a copy yet. I'll have to check when I get home. There's a couple of packages I haven't opened. I just got back to like yesterday or the day before.
I overnighted that shit, man.
No, I know. I just got back from this trip. It was amazing. Costa Rica's beautiful.
Yeah, I saw the pictures, bro.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Costa Rica is cool.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, Tim Kennedy. Yeah, Tim Kennedy. Listen,
right.
Here's the thing, man. It's I go out of my way to tell people that when I was at SEAL Team 6, I was in Gray Team, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm trying to say something I'm not. I was not with the assault team. I was with Gray Team. I go out of my way to let people know that my time in Iraq and Afghanistan was not with the teams. It was with the CIA. People that let people believe that they did more than they did, I feel sorry for them. I really, really do, because they're living a lie, and I don't want to live a lie. If anything, I want to downplay what I've done. And I have a lot of family and friends that like to make a big deal of what I did, but you know what? It was a job. It's just something that I chose to do. It's something that I chose to do. I don't think I'm special. I don't think that I did anything great that people before me didn't do. It's been done already. It's been done already. I'm not unique. I'm sharing my thoughts. I'm sharing my feelings. And so when I see things like that with Tim Kennedy and whatnot, it's like, I'm sure he's a great guy. And I'm sure that there's reasons that folks kind of inflate their resume a little bit or make it sound cooler than it actually was. I'll tell you a story. So we're in Afghanistan, right? And one of the things we would do, we door gun from a helo at night. And the reason that we flew at night is because our allied forces would shoot at us because it was a Russian helicopter, right? And it was like, dude, we own the night. Why are you shooting at us? It was like, stop fucking shooting at us.
Russian helicopter.
Yeah, absolutely. So
The Russians.
So we're on the ramp, right? I'm on the ramp because it's just a little window. You can't come from that. So I'm on the ramp. I'm tied in, and I was like, I see some tracer rounds off in the distance. Okay. They're shooting at the noise. Not even close. Not even dangerous close. Not hitting the vehicle. Not hitting the helicopter. Nothing.
Go back to sleep.
Not even dangerous close. Nothing. Okay. Someone else's rotation. They come back and they're like, dude, we're getting shot at. Oh my God, we're getting shot at. Big deal. Oh. It was crazy. Like, how come they never do that when I'm flying? When I'm up there flying, they're not shooting at me. One time I was like, dude, trace rounds again, but off in the distance. I mean, like,
is their interpretation? They got the same thing.
Same thing.
Their interpretation was different.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, literally, like if you look at if you're sitting on the ramp, because the ramp is down on the helo, and if I were to go out like that, those were the rounds. So I mean, it was like miles away. Right, yeah. Not even close. Just you mark the position. Let some bad guys go get them. I mean, let the good guys go get the bad guys. And it wasn't even danger close. But to them, it was danger close. So it's like, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. Even when we would take rounds in the cars, it's just like, did you get hit? No. Okay, we're okay. Yeah. We're okay, right? We're fine. We drove out of it. We're fine. We're fine. Yeah, we got attacked. We didn't stop. We didn't engage because there's just two of us.
Right. There's interpretational lies.
Yeah.
But then there's outright blatant lies.
Correct. So
where do you draw the line? Because I know this definitely pulls at tugs at your heartstrings, right? Your emotions a little bit, as it does mine and a lot of other people.
Interpretal lines. I hate it. Don't let people think that something was more than it was.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
Outright lies are wrong, but interpretal lies, I mean, it's my ESL, right? English is a second language. Those are wrong too.
Yeah.
I hope I never, ever let people think that what I did was more than what I did.
It's terrifying, right?
There's no reason for it.
Well, I gotta say, like, considering the situation, if I was in his shoes at this moment, I would probably be somewhat relieved, actually, that I'm not carrying around all these lies anymore.
Yeah.
Like, even though he's in a really awful spot that none of us would ever wish on our worst enemy.
Yeah.
I can imagine that there's some sort of relief that he feels like, I can stop lying. Because once you start those lies, you can't stop him. And he had to know that. He's been doing podcasts and he's been telling these stories.
It's going to hurt his brand, though. I mean, because that's the thing. It's going to hurt his brand. So I know he's probably shitting his pants.
He's lost all of his sponsors, with exception for a couple.
Here's what's horrible. Okay, what's horrible is this. It's like, bro, yeah, you're SF. And yeah, you're in the reserves. So what? You're an MMA fighter. You know what that takes?
He had more than enough.
That's 1,000% more than what most people need.
Yeah.
Why did you have to make it bigger than it was? And if you have people coming to listen to what you're shooting, it's a. I always say this, and my wife hates it, but opinions are like assholes, right? Everybody's got one, and they all stink.
Yeah.
Okay. They just do. So if you got something that someone wants to come and learn from you, great. But you don't have to lie. Yeah. You don't have to make it like you're some kind of big war hero. It's like, look, you made it through some hard training. You've trained with some of the best, and now you're in the UFC.
Yeah.
So you could fight. Bro, that's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do you need to make more than that?
Yeah. And I've met the guy. He's a great guy. He's a nice guy. He's full of energy. Like, that's the first, impression you get of the guy when you meet him. He's just like, you think Alex has energy? Wait till you meet him. You know what I mean? It's all over the place. He's like, I want to be everybody's friend. And he's like, oh, you could do this with this part of the room. And you could, it's just like, but he's a, Very nice. He's a very nice guy. You're just like, man, this guy is like full of energy.
Yeah. Here's what I say about tactics, right? And I know we got to end it, but it's like, look.
Well, we're good. We got time.
Okay.
We got about 10 minutes.
It doesn't matter what tactics you use as long as everyone's on the same sheet of music. As long as everybody's working together, okay? That's what makes the difference. And again, going back to tip of the spear, it's not what you think. When that whole of the spear is working together, it's an effective tool.
Yeah.
It's an effective tool. So, I'm not going to get into, do this, do this, do this, do this. Other people will. You have to do it this way.
Yeah.
You know what? Situation dictates. People ask me, like, oh, what does it take to be a weapons expert? In my opinion, you want my opinion? What it takes to be a weapons expert? You pick up any fucking gun that anyone puts in front of you and you make it work. And you can shoot well. And you can be lethal with it. That, to me, that's what it takes to be a weapons expert. But outside of, my system, my gun, my optics, my this, I got a tune, I got this, okay.
Right.
Well,
Everybody's got their own
use this, right?
Everybody's got their own touch, their own feel.
Yeah.
They need a certain, whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have so many people ask me, hey, what gun should I use? And I look at them like, for what?
Yeah.
Well, I want to conceal carry.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what do you have? Well, but I want to, and I'm like, okay, stop. Let me guess. You want to know what's comfortable? Well, yeah. I said, let me tell you something. Look at all the assault teams out there. Look at all the team guys out there. Do you think all that shit we got on, do you think it's comfortable?
We try our best to make it comfortable.
But it's not. But we're prepared.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're going to let comfort override preparedness, then you're setting yourself up for failure. That's just my opinion.
One of the things I remember from the teams that I remember when I walked through, I gained an appreciation for it was the locker room, right? Where everybody, it's not like a NFL or like a football locker room. Like our locker room is the size of I don't know, maybe like a warehouse, okay, right? The size of a building, and it's an entire floor, and everybody has their own individual cage.
Yeah.
Okay, within this, and your cage is maybe about 4 feet by 3 feet. Or 3 feet by 3 feet, I can't remember, about somewhere around those dimensions, a square, rectangle-ish setup, and you have your own door, and you go in there, and that's where you keep all of your gear, and that's where you can set, and I remember going in there, and the first time I stepped in there, because once you make it to your SEAL team, you're like, I got my own cage, I'm one of the guys now, and you go in there, and you see these guys that have 5, 6, deployments, these guys have been in, and you're walking by their cage like, how do they set their cage up? I don't know how to set my cage up. All I have is these big duffel bags full of gear and clothes and all the shit that I'm going to need for the job.
Right.
And so you're walking through here and, the one thing that stood out to me was like the amount of SEALs that were in their cage on their off time.
Yeah.
Like we talked about guys that they just, want to go home, which I happen to be one of them. I had kids at home, so I didn't have as much free time as I wish I did back then because there's a lot of things I would have loved to do, but I was trying to be a good dad, and a good husband at the time, and so, but
it matters.
I remember the amount of time guys would spend in their cage just being meticulously placing things exactly where they wanted them, and they would hang up their kit, and they would make sure their kit is just perfect, so, and I found that, like, that's the professional side of the job.
Yeah.
That's the side, like, when this guy gets downrange, his kit, he's not going to need to know where everything is. No. He spent hours and hours and hours making everything just right. He knows what's in this pocket, what's in this pocket, what's in this pocket. Everything is, like, drilled into his mind from repetition and just, like, spending time in his cage.
Yeah.
No,
bro, you're absolutely right. In SEAL Team 4, back in the day, jungle warfare, you'll hear someone way before you see them. So it was all about being silent. Yeah. So the hours we would spend just getting our gear ready and taping shit up and doing whatnot.
You mean the Velcro?
Oh, we didn't have Velcro back then. No.
You didn't have Velcro?
No, we didn't have. Well, we had Velcro, but we didn't have we would take our pockets off of our camis and sew them up here by ourselves, and they were still buttons.
The 60 that was the dumbest thing when
I know, right?
The Velcro.
Yeah, no, we had buttons, right? But we would get all our shit, and then we would jump up and down and see how much noise it would make, and then we'd go, okay, something's making noise, and we'd go, it's like, okay, taping this magazine, taping this, or it's like, we didn't have the rig that you guys have now, right? Because in the jungle, dude, it's hot and humid.
Yeah.
And we're not wearing the body armor. We weren't wearing body armor. It was H gear, right? And I had it loose, and I had suspenders because my pants had this much of a gap, just to let that, so you wouldn't get swamp ass, right?
Yeah.
Because it's hot as shit.
Yeah.
And but the noise is what got you, and that's why I'm saying, when you get the book, read the foreword, because it talks about he was my AOIC. He wants to stay anonymous, but my AOIC wrote the foreword, one of my platoons when we were down in South America, and he talks about what we were doing and how you would hear someone way before you would see them, way before you'd smell people, way before you'd see them, way before. I mean, it just was the jungle warfare was amazing.
I just got back from Costa Rica, so I know exactly what you're talking about. When you're in that jungle, it's an eerie feeling because around any corner, I can't imagine if there was like enemy within there. Just thinking about jaguars when we were walking around out there, I was like, bro, let's get you,
bro. Everyone thinks is like nothing was happening before 9/11. It's like, bro, the war on drugs was hot and heavy.
Yeah, there's always something.
There was. It wasn't declared, right? It wasn't a declared war, but we're down there. Where you're watching the Sendero Luminosa down in Peru, moving all their loads and loads of drugs and whatnot, and help working with the DEA, finding their damn processing plants, and then going against the FARC in Colombia, and in El Salvador, the Civil War going on. It's like, no, but nothing was happening. It's like, fucking felt like something was happening.
We should do another podcast on that part of your life. I'd be very interested to hear about that. And I
SEAL Team 4 was amazing. South and Central America is
I'd never got that. It was all Middle East.
Yeah.
So So I'm very interested to hear that. I think we should have you back on.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
You crushed it. How'd you like the totem?
Dude, the totem is amazing. This is it's like I'm feeling happy.
Yeah, it makes you happy. It's not too much. It's not like, I'm telling you, Davin's on to something. I've been trying to tell people. That's why I keep this bottle up here. Absolutely. By the way, Davin, if you're listening, we just ran out. If you want,
thanks, Davin.
Keep plugging this.
No, totem, man. It's legit. It's legit. And you know what? I started doing the whiskey thing when I retired, and because I got to get a house.
You started making your own?
No, just buying and trying to find those hard to find bottles, and I'm realizing that some of these hard to find bottles suck. They just don't taste that good.
Yeah,
that totem shit's legit.
Yeah,
it's legit. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Well, Rodney, thank you so much. It's been an honor to get to meet you, to hear your stories.
Pleasure's
mine. Veronica, thank you for hanging out with us and putting up with this guy for all this time. I can't believe you did that. I'm just kidding.
She's amazing.
Yeah, let's do this again soon.
Okay, right on, Shawn. Thank you so much.
And then, where can people find you?
Yeah, so look, I'm just coming out of shadows. I joined the teams when we didn't talk about the teams, and agencies, same thing. We didn't talk about it, and like you said, a lot of people frown on SEALs writing books, but the book is not about my exploits as a SEAL. I use some stories to drive points home, but my book is about how you can be the best version of yourself.
Yeah,
it really is, because I learned that. I grew up in the teams. Like I said, I turned 19 in Buds.
Yeah,
right. I was 19 years old when I showed up at SEAL Team 4. I grew up in the teams.
Yeah.
So I'm just using a lot of those things that I learned to help people understand that they have it within them. And it matters. Everything they do, it matters. It really does. But tipofthespear.com, at tipofthespearbook.com, at tipofthespearbook is my Instagram. And if they go on Amazon, they can find the book in 4 different formats, Barnes & Noble as well. And anywhere books are sold.
Yeah. Well, and to end it, on caveating on what you just said about, Navy SEALs that are thinking about doing something, but there's still the stigma from the teams, and they're like, I don't know if I should do it. I don't want to lose my friends. I don't want to, because like I said earlier, once you cross that line, you've crossed the line.
I have.
And that's it took me years. I'm like tiptoeing to it. I'm like, I'm not ready. And I would like take a few steps back and then I would come back, and then I'm like, by circumstances in my life, just kind of put my name out there and my profession out there. And so I was like, well, fuck it. I guess it's out there now. And then I got into it. But once I was on the other side, I was like, it's not as bad as I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like jumping into the pool for the first time. But like, the point I'm trying to make is I think there's a necessity in it. Okay. Yeah. Like when I came up, there was a couple of Navy SEAL movies out there. Maybe there was some Marcinko books that were out there that you could find, but there wasn't much else out there. Yeah. All I knew is that it was the hardest training in the world, and I wanted to do that. Right. And if that's the hardest thing, I'm doing that. Right. Yeah. And, I don't care what people think about Jocko. I don't care what people think about Goggins, or anybody else that's in this
solid dudes, man.
It's they are breeding the future versions of us.
Absolutely.
Through motivation and stories. And to me, that's just as important. And as long as you're doing it in a respectful manner where you're not risking anybody's lives, you're not throwing anybody under the bus, you're respecting the teams, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
And so I commend you for coming out into the public eye and telling your stories, because we have so many good stories to tell, and I can't wait to like share it with everybody.
Sure. Shawn, you're absolutely right. And my biggest concern was, when I sent my manuscript to other team guys and people that I very much value their opinion, and to see what their response was going to be. Every single team guy who has read the book has absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And we're talking about captains, we're talking about master chiefs, we're talking about, SEAL Team 6 guys, we're talking about, all of them. They're like, bro, this is spot on. This is awesome. As long as you keep doing what you're doing and promoting the teams and promoting the military and promoting life in a positive manner, it's going to be well received. It just is. It absolutely is. But you're right. Is once you get past that stigma, it's like, oh no, I can't write another SEAL books because people are going to make fun of me. It's like, no, man, your message is pure. Your message is great. There's so much that people can learn from what we've been through, and they want to hear it, and they want to learn it. And that's, I didn't get into it, but I was actually going into depression when I retired. And the reason I was going into depression when I realized it, because I had to self-reflect. It's like, why am I being so depressed right now?
I did the same thing.
And it was because I had so much to share, and not just share with team guys, not just share with the military, but I had so much to share with everybody who was willing to listen. And that's what prompted me to write the book. And I didn't plan on publishing it, but I actually sent it to my friends back home who are teachers, who are administrators in school districts. And they're like, you need to publish this. They're the ones that told me I need to publish this. And then I sent it to some of my team guy brothers, and they said the same thing. You need to publish this. These are other team guys. They're saying, you need to publish this. Yeah. Because you need the world to hear this. You need the world to see this. That is like, we're not just a bunch of blowhards. We're not just a bunch of prima donnas. It's like, no, man, we're normal people that just get after it.
Well, that's the truth too. Like, we're there's so many alphas in our community, and they just have so many walls that they built up, ego walls. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they're tough. They're badass. We get it. But we all have a creative side to us, whether you want to admit it or not, whether it's in art or, music or whatever it is. You have to have an artistic creative release about you. Like that's, there's a lot of poets out there that you don't truly develop as a human being until you discover what makes you creative. And that's what you spend the first half of your life trying to figure out how tough you are, and then last half trying to figure out how just like soft and real you are. You know what I mean? And it sounds soft, but it's not. You're still the same person. You're just learning how to express yourself in a more creative, constructive manner. And whether that's writing books or creating art, whatever it is, we all have this itch that we need to scratch. And if you do not, it'll drive you fucking insane. You need to find a release. So I found mine in podcasting. You found yours in writing, and I think it's important to encourage guys that are either in or about to get out, or they're out and they kind of like they're stuck in that depressive zone.
Yeah.
I think it's important to like push them, like discover your creative side.
Yeah.
You have something, you know what I mean? Everybody does.
Absolutely, and for those team guys that are finding themselves depressed after they leave the teams, it's again in the book. One of the things I say is, don't let any one thing define you. And that's what I find is a lot of team guys they get out is they let the teams define them, and they're more than being a SEAL.
Yeah.
Not saying that being a SEAL isn't awesome. Not saying that what they did wasn't great. It absolutely is, but they're more than that. They're more than that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a chapter in your life.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2 in your case. Rodney, thank you for coming on, my brother.
Shawn, thank you.
Can't wait to have you on again.
All right, man. Thanks, brother. Thanks,
Cheers.
everybody.
If you like this content, please like, please subscribe. That'll help us be able to get more sponsors so we can pump out more episodes.
Guys, look at me. Shawn needs you. I know he looks like tough and cool, but he like cries a lot. He goes, if I don't get a Slim Jim membership, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay rent. I'm like, Shawn, you have another job. Just spending too much money on, those tight shirts. Cut your shirt budget. But yeah, like and subscribe.